she approached the handsome stranger behind the bar who was sipping a beer. "Do you want to be lucky today, handsome? I've been trying unsuccessfully to achieve success for many years now. Tonight is no different. What about you? Why are you here?" "Celebrating my divorce. Honestly, I'm looking for some restorative sex before my nerves get the better of me. I don't want anything serious until I'm ready to look for Mr. Right #2. Two. By the way, my name is Lena. Sandy, like Sandy Koufax. I take it my wedding ring doesn't put you off?" "You may have a wedding ring, Sandy, but you don't look married, if you know what I mean. If you mean that I look like I'm trying to survive a terrible marriage with some dignity, then you're right. Why don't you just divorce her?" "Finance. I can either divorce her and support her and her lovers while I'm poor, or I can stay married and support her and her lovers while I have some money. Well, in my case, Sandy, my ex-husband found a girl with big tits and more money than I make. I suppose getting half is no big deal, but I didn't lose anything I valued. So, are we soulmates enough to go to your house or motel and exchange bodily fluids? Well, it so happens that I have an SUV in the parking lot. It has tinted windows. There is no back seat. There is a comfortable air mattress there, and I have baby wipes to clean up later. Damn it, you came prepared. Sandy, I'm looking for lust in all the right places. Why waste time on a regular date dance?" Sandy threw $20 on the table and followed her to her car. "Do you want me to use a condom? I am clean. You wouldn't lie to me about being clean, would you?" "As far as I know, I'm clean. If I were still having sex with my wife, I wouldn't be able to swear to it now. I think it sounds quite tempting. As for the fear of pregnancy, I take birth control pills, so we are 97% protected from this problem. I'll play those odds any day. So, Lena, how was it for you?" "Oh, Sandy, it was the best sex of my life. You touched me where no man had ever been. You ruined me for someone else. Woe is me. Good girl." They both laughed. "Seriously, Lena, how do you feel now in the role of the other woman? Actually, I was just thinking about this. It's not really like I'm helping you cheat. Do you feel like you're cheating on your wife? More like getting even." "By my count, I'm about 1,000 times further away from matching what she did. I don't think I can help you even in one evening, no matter how interesting it might be to try. Although I'm pretty sure I can get you one more round closer to your goal tonight." Their second sex of the evening was slower and much more loving. Neither of them knew exactly what to say next. They both seemed afraid to say words of love in the afterglow that would reflect feelings they might disagree with tomorrow. They dressed in silence. Getting out of the SUV, Lena said that she was going home. Sandy felt he had to say something. "Hey, if you need company, call me. I even liked it, baby." "Wow, Sandy, talk about a ringing endorsement. If I'm so good at sex, then maybe I'll have to start charging." "Sorry, I couldn't resist sarcasm. Sandy, honestly, I enjoyed being with you. It felt good to have sex with someone decent and without any hidden agenda. In fact, I wouldn't mind a rematch at all." "Damn it, girl. If you're going to get so sentimental, just forget it." They laughed a little and then gave each other a scorching kiss. "Good night." Obviously, this was meant to last in hopes of next time. Sandy went home, or as he called it, to the house where he and his wife sometimes lived together. He was oddly pleased with how the evening had gone. Lena strengthened his hope that somewhere there are nice women who are not talked about. He lay down in bed and remembered the sight, touch, smell, and taste of Lena's body. Sleep came quickly. The next morning, Sandy went downstairs to make coffee. While the coffee was brewing, his wife Carrie came in. She looked like she had drunk too much and been too abused. She looked at him and asked, "What the hell are you looking at?" "I refuse to answer on the grounds that the truth could lead to my death." "I suppose you find this funny." "Aren't you going to ask what I've been up to all night, my dear horny hubby?" "I think it's pretty obvious what you've been doing." "Let me guess. I would venture to say that you are probably intoxicated from alcohol and perhaps from some other substances that are prohibited without a prescription. You must have danced a lot, and some of the dances actually involved clothes. So, did I guess correctly or not? Well, smart guy, you're wrong. I didn't dance, whether I was dressed or not. I just spent the night with a dozen men of different ethnic backgrounds. I let them do as they wanted, and there's nothing you can do about it unless you want extra seconds. I'm working on it. What the hell is that supposed to mean? I would explain it, but your two remaining brain cells don't seem to be communicating coherently right now. Why don't you go get some sleep while I go to work? Before you go, where's the Tylenol? It's in the damn first aid kit, just like it always is. You don't have to be sarcastic about it. Yes, darling. Fuck you. As time went by, Lena and Sandy went on a few more dates that involved more than just sex. But every date ended in sex. Sensual sex. Lena was the only one who decided to end it. She told Sandy that she felt like she was in danger of wanting a serious relationship with him. Lena also felt more and more that she was truly becoming the other woman in Sandy's marriage, especially since Sandy mentioned the lack of progress towards the divorce. He seemed to be in no hurry, if at all, to do anything. Sandy said he understood her concerns and asked if she wanted him to call her if anything changed. Lena had little hope, but she believed in never saying never. She agreed to keep in touch with us. A little more time passed without any major changes in the lives of Sandy and Lena, but as time passed, both began to miss each other more. It became increasingly difficult to hide my feelings in calls. Sandy was watching TV when the doorbell rang, followed by someone knocking. He opened the door and saw two policemen waiting there. "Good evening, officers. What can I do for you?" "Are you Sandy Jackson?" they asked. "Yes. Do you have a wife named Carrie Jackson?" "Unfortunately, yes." This answer took the police by surprise. "I'm sorry to tell you, sir, but your wife was killed last night." "Really? How? Car accident?" "I hope not. We just bought her a new car." "No, she was shot." "Mr. Jackson, you—" "Sandy, as in Sandy Koufax." "Mr. Jackson, excuse me, Sandy. You don't seem very surprised or at least a little upset by this news. Maybe it would be better for you to come with us to the station and answer a few questions." "Am I a person of interest? I always wanted to be an interesting person. I often watch reruns of Law and Order. Lenny is my favorite character of all time. Anyway, from what I learned from watching, the husband is always the prime suspect. We're talking about murder, aren't we?" "Yes. This is being investigated as a homicide." "Let me get my jacket." He did so, and they drove off with him in the back of a police car. "I always wanted to ride in a police car. I think it would be too much to ask you to turn on your lights and siren. I would love to give my neighbors something to gossip about." They refused. At the police station, Sandy was taken to an interrogation room. He sat down at the table and waved to the unknown people behind the two-way mirror. After some time, a man and a woman in civilian clothes entered. "Who is a good cop and who is a bad one?" the male officer replied. "I wish those damn cop shows never mentioned that." He paused. "Mr. Jackson, I'm Detective Bennett, and this is Detective Armbruster. We'll ask you a few questions about your wife's murder. You are not under arrest, so whatever you say is of your own free will. If you want an attorney present, then we will stop asking questions and decide whether or not to charge you with a crime. Have I made myself clear?" "Crystal. That's what you guys say, right?" Sandy's comment was ignored. "Even though you are not arrested." "I know. I am a person of interest. Are you done with cop show cliches yet? I must tell you that what you tell us must be true. If you lie to us, you might be accused of lying to the police. Oops, sorry. Can I start the interview, please? I apologize. It's just that my life is usually boring and this is exciting for me. You think I killed my wife. So you think being accused of murder is exciting? Don't you feel any remorse for the loss of your wife?" "No. I lost her a long time ago. I feel bad when someone dies, but the truth is that Carrie was a terrible lying bitch. Tell me, how did my dear wife die?" "2 shots to the back of the head." "Sounds like a professional hit to me," Sandy interjected. Could you please provide the forensic report to the police? But yeah, it does look like a professional shot. Well, I'm not a professional assassin. I wonder if there is a school here where you can learn this craft. In any case, I think I could hire one of them. Are they listed in the telephone directory? No, smart guy. But you know someone who could find him. Petro Marconi. Petro? My childhood friend. With connections in the mafia. Yes, this is perhaps the most interesting thing in my personal history. A friend with connections in the mafia. I'm sorry. You said that I asked Petro to find me a killer. I said it was possible. Can we get to the good part? Let's see what kind of case is filed against me. I definitely had a motive. I hated her, and she threatened me regularly. Powith about Pandit Sizzlin Nim with a financial point of view divorce. I had the opportunity because I was at home watching TV and no one could confirm it. You probably already know that I do not have a registered weapon. What kind of gun was this? Is this what the TV shows say the pros use for headshots? Sure, I could buy an illegal gun, although both legal and illegal guns are becoming increasingly difficult to find now that anti-Second Amendment liberals have taken over. I would be glad if you would check my hands for traces of gunpowder. Of course I could wear gloves. Yes, my old friend hired someone through his mafia connections to kill her and get rid of the gun. This seems like a sure thing that I could be convicted of. Are you going to arrest me right now? I didn't bring any extra clothes with me to spend the night here. Female Detective Armbruster commented, "You are a strange person." Thank you. I have to say, Ms. Armbruster, if you're deliberately trying to act cool, policeman, then you're doing great. Her face turned crimson red with anger. That's enough, Mr. Jackson. Right now, I think we have a pretty strong case against you for murder and attempted murder. Wait, how can I be accused of murder and attempted murder of the same person? Killing someone in some way involves trying to do it in the first place, doesn't it? I was talking about her lover, who was also shot and is now in critical condition in the hospital. Wait here, detective. Nobody told me that my lover was shot. Who was this lover? Did she have more than one? Sandy nodded his head. The guy who was shot was her trainer from Planet Fitness. They were in the parking lot, in the back seat of her car. He was shot several times in the genitals. He lost a lot of blood before the paramedics got to him. Crap. They were shot in her car. Damn it, do you have any idea how difficult it is to remove bloodstains from upholstery? I'm not. I hope I don't have to replace the back seat to be able to sell her car. Sorry. I lost track of the conversation. So, if I understand correctly, detectives, you are saying that I killed my wife and castrated one of her lovers using bullets. The biggest flaw I see so far in your case against me is the number of possible alternative culprits. What about the wives and girlfriends of all married men? With which did she have sex? What about the couple's other lovers, who may have wanted revenge for her taking on a new lover? Considering the number of men my wife has cheated with, I'm afraid your pool of suspects may be much larger than you first thought. There are a lot of people you'll need to talk to and check their alibis, given the many, love the word, jealous lovers, lovers' wives, and girlfriends. I'll give you a list of all the lovers I know of. There were a couple of women she used to troll with that I included on the list as well. They should be able to give you many more names. After I provide you with this information, why don't you work on narrowing down your list of possibilities before calling me back? Can I go home now? And please let me say this. Don't leave town. Sandy was surprised by the number of people who came to the conclusion that he actually killed his wife. Most knew that his action would have been justified. But of course, even in this post-etiquette world, it was considered impolite for people to directly ask him, "Well, did you kill her?" As if someone facing the death penalty or life in prison, if convicted, would say if he did. He stuck to the standard answer, "No, I didn't do it, but I'll be happy to buy a drink for the person who did." Then he usually added, "I'm lying. I would buy a whole case of beer for the guy or girl who killed her." It became a waiting game. Nothing could happen regarding her inheritance or her life insurance until her killer was found and convicted. If it had been Sandy, he would not have been allowed to inherit. Without Carrie's income, Sandy had to be much more frugal, although it wasn't much different because Carrie spent most of the money she made on booze and boyfriends. Lena noticed Sandy's absence from the bar they frequented. The bartender informed her of his predicament with the law. She called Sandy, expressed her condolences, and gave him a six-pack of his favorite beer. He refused and explained that he didn't want people to know they were lovers because it might make her a suspect in killing his wife so they could be together. Lena laughed. Now I see the newspaper headlines. The other woman did it. Don't laugh, Lena. Your confession could have been wiretapped, which I assume the police installed on my phone. She's just playing tricks on the officers. Oh, shit. Then I guess I need to get rid of the murder weapon immediately. They both laughed again. Lena, thank you for the kind thought. I truly appreciate it. God, I really missed you. So, bring me up to speed. How's your dating game going lately? Any sign of Mr. Right number 2? No, Mr. Right from any number. My personal life is on life support, although it hasn't quite leveled out. However, my dildo complains of overuse. I'm getting to the point where maybe it's time for me to be less picky about finding the right man to settle down with and have kids with before I get too old. Know anyone stupid enough who might be interested in me? Well, unless I get the death penalty or life in prison, I'm stupid enough to be interested in at least getting an answer from you. At least we know we are sexually compatible. We know this for sure. Changing the subject. Did they say anything about arresting you? Not yet. I'm afraid it will take a miracle for them to find the true killer in the haystack created by Carrie's affairs. It's looking more and more like I'll be the most likely suspect and they'll decide to prosecute me just to try and convict someone. It's a pity that the coach died. Perhaps he could identify the shooter. Okay, Sandy. I just wanted you to know that I'm here for you and I don't care what other people think about us except you. Although sometimes I'm not too sure about you. Thank you, Lena. This means a lot. Not quite a lot, but a lot. They both ended the conversation wishing they had said something more meaningful, like, I love you. Sandy's prediction came true. None of the possible suspects in Carrie's group of girlfriends and wives of lovers had as high a likelihood of being the killer as he did. His trial began almost exactly 6 months after Carrie's death. Sandy did not testify. His honesty about how he felt about his promiscuous wife had the potential to increase the chances of his conviction. His lawyer based Sandy's defense on numerous other potential criminals who also had motive and opportunity. As he cross-examined the detectives, Sandy's lawyer asked how many women were on the list of possible revenge-minded suspects. There were about 100 of them. The jury was amazed. Then he asked, how many of these suspects didn't have an alibi for that night? The answer was 38, and again the jury was shocked. The lawyer then asked, are you sure you have identified the names of all the men with whom Mrs. Jackson had sex? The detective looked upset and said, there were several men there. Mrs. Jackson allegedly had sex with people we knew only by name and could not locate to interview them, their wives or girlfriends. The district attorney said, oh no. The detective was surprisingly honest when asked why Mr. Jackson was chosen to prosecute rather than the other lovers or their spouses. He said, you'll have to. Ask the district attorney. I think Mr. Jackson was the most likely suspect. The district attorney looked at the detective with a look that could kill. Sandy sat in limbo for 3 days while the jury deliberated. Finally, the judge declared a mistrial after the jury was stuck on an 8-4 guilty-not guilty vote over the final 2 days of voting. The district attorney decided not to sue Sandy anymore. He failed to prove that motive and opportunity were sufficient to convict him beyond a reasonable doubt. The number of unknown other potential suspects and the lack of evidence that his friend orchestrated the hit gave the district attorney hope of one day getting 12 people to agree to a guilty verdict. As Sandy celebrated his victory, he saw Lena leaving the courtroom in tears. Several days passed before she answered his call. Lena, I hope that these were tears of joy that you shed. No, I was sad. I always wanted to tell my friends that I dated a killer. Of course, idiot. I was happy. Sandy, I'm so glad you're free now. I'm not that religious, but I prayed that they wouldn't find you guilty. I wasn't really guilty, so it's good that several members of the jury came to the same opinion. I knew you were innocent. I appreciate your trust in me. No, I mean, I knew you were innocent. What do you mean by this? Sandy, I'm the one who killed your wife and her coach. Sandy paused until he got over his shock. Lena, it's hard for me to believe this. Why do you do it? Sandy, I fell in love with you, despite the fact that I tried not to. Even after we stopped dating, I thought about you and us every day. I wanted you to stop suffering from being married to this bitch. When I couldn't bear to see you suffer anymore, I pulled out my dad's old .22 caliber pistol. I followed her and waited for the right moment. That evening, I saw her get into the coach's car. There was no one around, so I went and shot them both. I tried to make it look like a professional shot. I watch Law and Order too. However, in the courtroom, I became worried when I heard that you have connections to the mafia. You never told me about this. It made me afraid that I helped bring a case against you. You killed Carrie and one of her lovers because you wanted me to be free to marry you? No, at least not directly. As much as I would like to think that we could have a serious, intimate relationship, I did it mainly so that you would be free. I don't assume that you want to marry me. It's rare for another woman to get her guy in the end. Lena, what would you do if they condemned me? I would, of course, admit it. I still have the gun. This would convince them. I wouldn't let you go to jail, let alone the electric chair. But you would have gone to jail if you had confessed. I would still have achieved my goal. You would be free. I don't know what to say, except that you have a very strange way of saying, I love you. Effective, but weird. Really? I guess you're just saying that because you're afraid I'll shoot you too if you don't make me your girlfriend. This is part of the matter. There's just something really sexy about a woman with a smoking gun in her hand. Speaking of the gun, you need to get rid of it where no one will ever find it. And where do you propose? Sandy thought for a moment. I think I know the perfect place. It was past midnight when two figures got out of the car and walked towards Carrie Jackson's grave. It was a straight, flat shovel that made the least amount of mess in the grass where he was making a mini grave for the gun. The ground cover was replaced so that very little surface damage was visible. I don't know anyone who will ever visit her grave, so the gun should be safe here. Lena asked, What now, a free man? Sandy put his arm around her waist and said, It's time to exclude you from the category of other woman. He pulled out a small box with a ring. Lena said, Are you proposing to me on the fucking grave of your ex-wife? You must be joking. You're right. Too tasteless. Let's just dance on her grave and get this over with. And so they did. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.